There is something massive on the horizon that I can't even comprehend, and I am very excited to see that come to fruition. In last week's video, I talked about wanting to complete my final prototype, and in the past 7 days, I have done that, so I'm glad I was able to accomplish that goal. I have some news of what happened this week that completely has blown my mind. Like, this is not something I anticipated happening, and I don't think you're gonna see where this is going either. So as I mentioned in the previous videos, I've joined a BNI group, which is just a networking group, essentially like a leads club. So I joined this group as a drone pilot. Every week you give a presentation about your business and about things that you're doing and the direction that you're going, in the hopes that somebody in that group might be able to help you with the things that you've mentioned. So a couple weeks ago, I gave my presentation that I was moving into the golf course space, and I had about 6 referrals that came from that. One of those referrals was for a woman whose sister has a course out in the UK. So this past week, I got a text from this woman, and she said, "Hey, can I show you the studio?" I didn't know what that meant at all. Like, what kind of studio are you talking about? But anyway, I said, sure, I'm free Thursday. This past Thursday morning, I drove to the address that she told me to go to. And as I was driving there, it was like completely off the road. Where Google was telling me to turn did not look like anything existed there. Like, it was just trees and then a small clearing, almost looking like a trail, like a hiking trail. But there was a trash can right at the opening of that trail, and so I at least knew that there were people at the end of that trail, wherever it went. So I turned there, and there were logs in the way, and my car could barely fit through. But as I was driving, the gravel-ish road kind of turned, and there was a clearing, and there was this giant cabin that looked like it was just built. It was brand new. It was this huge house. Well, I thought, this is somebody's house. This isn't a studio, unless the studio is inside of the house. But then I kept driving, and it looked like there was a governor's driveway that they were going to lay that hadn't been poured yet. And if you kept driving along this circle, that there was another building on the back of the property. So in my mind, I'm just like, okay, this is probably where the studio is. And so I parked my car, and I get out, and the woman who I'm supposed to meet comes out of the house with a cup of tea for me. And she said, "Oh yeah, have you seen the disco ball in the back?" And if you look in the woods, there was this clearing, and there was a giant disco ball just in the middle of the woods. So we go into the studio, and it's this high-end music production studio. And when I say high-end, I don't mean high-end just because I don't know anything about sound equipment. Like, she was saying, this is the most high-end studio in the entire Midwest, that the nearest studio of this caliber is in Nashville. And there's nothing like this in Chicago. This is nicer than anything Sweetwater has. This is next level. So we start talking about music. Even though I'm there to talk about my business, we end up talking about her studio for about 45 minutes, just because I'm fascinated with this place. And I told her that I played piano, and so she said, "Oh, you want to play for me?" And now it was much more intimidating knowing the size of their operation. So I played a song by Elton John, and I told her how much I liked Elton John. And she said, "Oh, yeah, I saw Elton and Billy Joel together. Billy Joel is my neighbor's client. She's on tour with him right now." And I go, "The world you live in is not the world that I live in." And she says something along the lines of, "Oh, I wouldn't be surprised, Peter. You're on track for it to be your world sooner than you realize." So I was like, what does that mean? And then we start talking about my business. She says, "I want you to consider a professional collaboration with us, where all of the videos that you create, you exclusively use the music that we license to you. And we would create a custom soundtrack for every golf course that you work with." And this right now is blowing my mind. Okay, well, why would she want to work with me? I literally haven't even sold one of these yet. But she said, "When you were up there giving your presentation, I started texting everyone that I knew that was connected in the golf industry, and I said, how can we get this kid in front of more people? And so you don't know this right now, Peter, but your name is circling around the world." And I didn't know what to say other than, whoa. She says, "The golf industry is very tightly connected to the music industry." I think what she was inferring from that was, if I collaborated with them, they have connections that they can help me grow my business. This is huge. I don't even understand all of the implications from this, but I do know that there is something massive on the horizon that I can't even comprehend, and I am very excited to see that come to fruition. She said she wants to connect me with some investors that she knows out in California who are big in the golfing industry, and then I have another appointment scheduled with this woman to talk about the details of collaboration. So I'm not going to ask you to subscribe unless you do want to follow along. When it comes down to it, I'm not trying to grow my YouTube channel in as much as I'm trying to document so that my kids can see my humble beginnings, can see me for who I am now. I want them to see Peter MacDonald. And at this stage in my life, I feel like I have the perfect opportunity to give them that insight. I'm not sure how often I'm going to be posting these. I think that I'll only be posting as consistently as something major happens or as I actually do have an update to share. So I guess that's the benefit of subscribing, so that you'll be able to see when something actually happens that's worth watching. I don't exactly know what's going to come of this, but we'll see.